Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of PJ Codes. Now in this video, we're going to continue on with our Webpack fundamentals lesson, and in this video, we're going to be looking at actual Webpack configuration for more complicated builds. So we're going to be working with loaders, we're going to be working with plugins, we're going to be manipulating entry points, looking at some different output files as well, and basically doing these configurations is going to help us work with more complicated and involved builds. Right now in our previous video, if you haven't checked it out, definitely check out the previous Webpack fundamentals video. That'll definitely lay a foundation for what we're doing here. But basically what we did last time is we had our our 4 app.js files. Basically we were calling them inside our index.js, which Webpack bundles up inside here and outputs them inside our dist main.js. This is just some Webpack magic that's going on here. Don't worry about all of this right now. But our main.js is where all our JavaScript gets compiled, and we're calling it inside our HTML. Okay? No, not there. Here. Right there. Okay? So that's what Webpack does. It's just, I guess, in a brief repeat. It just basically bundles up a bunch of JavaScript files into one JavaScript file, right, main.js, and then we can just call that file inside our HTML file. Okay, so let's begin. But before we do, definitely hit that like button below, hit subscribe, and let's begin. Okay, now in our previous video, what we did is we had our 4 app files, and basically what this was doing is it just manipulates some text inside our index.html. And the way we call these are inside our index.js. We call them in here, and Webpack basically uses index.js, source/index.js as a default entry point, and it basically just bundles up all the code all the files that are being called in here, and outputs them inside our dist main.js by default here. Okay, and also if we look inside our index.js, yes, we're calling our JS file here, and we have all this HTML, and we're opening up it manually right now inside the browser. But what we're going to do is we're going to work with Webpack dev server. This way we can just set up a local server, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to install Webpack dev server as well, and then inside our package.json we're going to start off by creating some scripts. So let's just go inside our package.json here. Alright, and to start off, we're going to just we're going to set up a dev environment here. So we're just going to type in dev, and then we're going to do Webpack, right? So we're going to do Webpack dash mode, right? Webpack dash mode, and then we're going to do development. Okay, so that's going to set up our development environment. Also, we're also going to set up a start script here. So we're going to do start, and that's just going to allow us to run our server. But before that, let's just before we even do that, let's just install Webpack dev server. So let's do npm I webpack dev server, and you go to space save dev. Okay. Hit enter. So now it's going to install Webpack dev server, and it's going to do its thing, and then I'll come back when it's done. Alright my friends, Webpack dev server has successfully been installed. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to install some scripts inside here. So inside, let's just get rid of this guy here for a minute. So let's set up our dev environment. So let's do dev : space, right, and we're going to do open, and we're going to do Webpack space space, not space, mode space development. This is just going to tell Webpack that we want to set up a development environment, not for production. Okay, and since we have our Webpack dev server installed, let's initialize a start script here. So we're just going to do double quotes Webpack, can't type today, serve dash open, and then we're going to do Chrome. Okay, and notice that's inside single quotes because the entire value here is wrapped in double quotes. All right, so we're gonna hit save, and now I'm gonna go inside my terminal here, and we're just gonna do npm start. Okay, so that's gonna start our script for us. We're gonna open Chrome. All right, now we're gonna open, I'm just gonna copy that link here. All right, localhost 8080, and right now I have it inside just my local path, but I'm gonna paste it in, localhost 8080, there we go. All right, so there we go. This is our localhost 8080. Okay, so now we have our Webpack dev server configured, ready to go, and our next steps are going to be to create a Webpack config file. So inside our configuration file now, we're gonna start to manipulate some entry points. We can start to pick and choose, what our entry points could be, what our output files could be, additionally what plugins we want to use, etc., etc. So we're gonna look at that in a quick minute. All right, my friends, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be working with Webpack config.js file. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cd into our Webpack tutorial here. Okay, and then we're gonna do inside our root, we're gonna create a Webpack config file, right? So we're gonna do touch config.js. My friends, since we have a Webpack config file made, what we can do is we're just going to open it up, and basically inside here what we're going to do is we're going to write the configurations for our Webpack, and we're going to have to wrap that in an export in a basically since Webpack is written in JavaScript and it runs on top of a headless JavaScript environment just like Node, what you'll need to do is export these configurations using a module.exports, which is basically the common JS export for Node.js. Okay, so now inside here we're going to specify an entry point. Okay, and let's just begin. All right, so let's just do const path equals require. I'm going to do open single quotes. You're going to do path. Okay. Let's make sure to put that semicolon because we want to write good syntax. All right, so we're going to do module.exports, all right, equal to space open close curly braces, and now we're going to create our entry point. Okay, for our app. So we're going to do entry colon space open close caret. Okay, so now what I like to do is I like to basically just create some padding, some spacing on either side, just looks cleaner. And we're going to write index. Okay, all right, we're going to write index and then path.resolve open parentheses, and then you're going to do 2 underscores, so not 1 but 2 underscores, dir name, that's directory name. Okay, comma, and now we're going to write the name of our directory, so that's src source, and then comma, and then after that we're going to write the name of our index file. Okay, so index.js. Okay, so now we have our entry point written. Okay, so now what's going to happen is basically Webpack is going to look for an index.js file, index.js, inside our source directory, and it's going to use that as its entry point, okay, which is this guy right here. Okay, but now we also need an output, right? So let's do comma, and let's create an output, do colon space, and then we're going to do open close caret, and inside that we're going to do path, and then path.resolve. I'm not typing it out because I want you guys to actually build the muscle memory for this stuff. So we're going to do double for direct name, double underscore dir name, and right, and then after that we're going to do inside that, we're going to do well, we can do double, but I prefer single colon. Okay, and we're going to do our single quote, and then we're going to write our folder name, right, for our output, which is dist. Okay, you can create a different one, you can call it build, but right now, just for namesake, I just want to, even though these are the defaults, I just want to write these out just to show you guys that this is going to work. All right, so let's just go over this again. We have our output here, and we're telling Webpack that, okay, for our output path inside, create that inside our dist directory. Okay, put our output file inside this dist folder, which is this guy here. Okay, and this gets generated automatically once you hit npm run dev. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save. Now I'm in my terminal. I'm just gonna kill the process. I'm just gonna do npm run dev. That's gonna create my process. It's gonna bundle up my files. Okay, so it's created these modules here. Okay, and we're gonna do npm start. It's gonna start up our process here. We're gonna go back. I have my DevTools open. I'm just gonna refresh it for you guys. My Wi-Fi is being a little slow today. Give me a second. I might have to edit that part. Okay, no, we're good. Okay, so now if we go into our networks tab, you see we're loading our main.js from our dist. Okay, let's get rid of that guy from our dist. Okay, so hope that made sense as an entry point and output point. All right, guys, so those are entry and output points. Now let's work with a plugin. Okay, so since we're working with some HTML, we're gonna need a plugin called Webpack. HTML Webpack plugin. So we're just gonna go ahead and install that. Okay, so we're just gonna do npm I HTML Webpack plugin space -- save -dev. Okay, so we're gonna install that. Okay, guys, so now our HTML Webpack plugin has been installed, and I'm basically calling it here like this. I typed it out for you guys. Okay, and then basically, since we can call multiple plugins, we have them wrapped inside an array here. Okay, I'm just going to explain this stuff to you. So basically, we have an array here, and then we're instantiating a new HTML Webpack plugin, and basically this is going to help Webpack parse a lot of the HTML. Okay, and then we have our template key here, and then we're resolving a path here. Okay, now inside our directory name, this is I just left it blank because our index.html is in our root, and basically we're going to look inside our root for an index.html file. And then once we run npm run dev, what's going to happen is Webpack is going to basically take this index.html file. It's going to put it inside our dist folder here inside our output. Okay, and I just want to show you guys. Now you're going to notice the different JS files, and I just want to show you. So now if we head into our our browser, if we go into our networks tab, you're going to notice that we have two JS files, right? This kind of defeats the purpose of Webpack, and I'm going to show you guys why. This is just a configuration gotcha that I want to point out. I'm going to go inside my index.html file. Okay, now what am I doing here? I'm calling main.js. Initially, in our previous video, I had called main.js as a default. So basically, it's just looking inside our output file, our dist file, and it's loading our main.js, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this guy here. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of it here, and basically what's going to happen is I'm going to kill a process here. I'm going to hit npm run dev. Okay, now Webpack is going to basically go through our index file. It's going to wrap up all these, and it's going to put these into our dist folder. And basically we're using our HTML plugin to basically call our JavaScript from our output file inside our index file. Okay, so I'm going to do npm start. I'm going to hit start, and now it's going to start the process. I'm going to go back to the browser, and you're going to notice when I hit refresh, it's only going to load the index.js file. Okay, there we go. So we're only loading our index.js file. Okay, so now this is what Webpack takes care of for us. It basically just does it automatically for us, and that's the beauty of it. So that's plugins in a nutshell. Okay guys, so now let's talk a little bit about loaders, and this is going to be the last thing we talk about in this video. Loaders are basically third-party extension tools that help Webpack deal with various file extensions such as CSS or even text files. So basically anything that's non-JS, a loader can help because Webpack can you really only parse JavaScript and JSON files. It's not built, at least yet, for parsing of CSS files, image files, text files, etc. So when we're working with things like CSS or even Sass, that's when loaders come in, and this is going to be very, very handy for you guys. And for any complicated website or application, you're going to need a style sheet, right? For even something basic, to be honest, you're going to need a style sheet, right? So let's just get into how to set up a loader. Let's get into the configurations for that. So let's talk a little bit about styling. Right now, if we go inside our styles directory here, we have our CSS file. We have no styles, right? And if we go to our browser, you might see some colors, but again, if we backtrack to our previous video, these colors are being manipulated by JavaScript, right? So let's just write some dummy styles. Let's just do let's do everything. Let's do open close caret. Let's just give it a border just so we can see, right, what we're aiming for. 1px solid red. Okay, let's go back. Let's hit refresh. And this is basically what we're aiming for. But right now, if we go inside our index.html file, we're manually calling our style sheet here. Okay, we don't want that. Okay, we don't want to do this. So let's just, we want Webpack to do this for us, right? So let's just hit save. Okay, and now let's go back. Let's hit refresh, and now basically you're going to see all these styles disappear in about a quick second. Okay, and that's going to be because we're not actually calling the style sheet inside our HTML file manually. Okay, and let's even get rid of the style here for a minute. Okay, we're going to go back. Now let's go to our Webpack config file, and basically let's write out a loader, right? Let's write out a loader configuration to load some CSS. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to type in we're going to do module, right, and follow colon, and then followed by a so this is going to be basically an object, right? And we're going to have some rules in here. All right, we're going to have some rules, and the rules can be in an array. Okay, let's format that correctly. Okay, let's hit space, and then let's do test, and we're going to get to what test means in a second. And then we're going to do some regex here, / / dot file name, and we're going to do $, and then another / okay, and we're going to do comma, and we're going to do use colon, and we're going to do open close brackets, and we're going to do loader. This is just the base. I just want to show you guys the structure, right? So this is where loader B will go, and open close, loader A will go. And the reason why these are in decreasing orders, because the way Webpack parses this is from right to left and then from bottom to the top. Okay, basically test just basically tells Webpack, like, hey, treat this as a module. Okay, so whatever this file name, file type is here, we're going to treat this as a module, and for that we're going to be using these loaders here. Okay, we want to use these loaders here, and basically the module here, the module keyword here, basically this is where the configuration lies for a loader. Okay, now when we work with Webpack, we need to basically install two loaders. Okay, and remember, the purpose of loaders is to help Webpack deal with non-JS files such as CSS and others. Okay, so let's install the CSS loader, and let's install a style loader. Okay, and let's do that in our command line here. So let's just do npm I css loader loader space, and then we're going to do style loader space, and then --s save dev. Okay, so now the loaders have done the CSS loaders have done installing, and basically the purpose of the CSS loader is to basically be to tell Webpack to load the CSS, load all the CSS with the import keyword, and the style loader is for basically loading the actual style sheet in the DOM. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and declare that here. Okay, for our first rule, we want our CSS files to be treated as a module. Okay, and then from our first instance, instance of when the parser hits our module rules, we're going to type in css loader. This is what we want Webpack to hit first, right? The CSS loader, and then after that we're going to do our style loader. Okay, we're going to do our style loader. I'm going to hit save. Okay, but before we go any further, let's just fix the syntax here. So let's just put this inside an object. Okay, and let's do that. So now we're basically telling Webpack that, okay, for our when we're working with CSS, we want to use this the CSS loader and the style loader, and we're going to use that for all our CSS files. Okay, so now what we're going to do is inside our index.js file, we're just going to import our style sheet, because remember, index.js is important because this is what Webpack uses to bundle up basically all your files. Okay, so we're going to do import. We're going to import our style sheet from from a styles directory, and then styles.css. Okay, we're going to hit save. Okay, so this is going to import our style sheet here, and now inside our styles.css, let's give everything a border of 1 pixel, solid green. Okay, so we're just going to apply these styles just to show you guys. Okay, we're going to do that. So we have again, we're loading these styles from our style sheet into our index.js. okay, and now let's go to our terminal. I killed the process before the video, but let's do npm run dev. Okay, so it's gonna do that for us, and let's just do npm start. So it's going to start the process for us. Let's go back to the browser and hit refresh, and now you're just basically going to see all those styles get applied to our HTML file. There we go. Now we have our style sheet here without actually manually loading them, because remember, I commented it out. So now our styles are being loaded by Webpack. Okay, and if we go into our networks tab, we can see we're just loading this one index.js file here. And let's go to our elements tab, and let's just go into our head here, and we have our index.js file that's loading, and our styles are being applied automatically by Webpack. We're gonna optimize this further, but I hope this made sense, and I hope this gets you on a good track to configure Webpack for more complicated builds. And our next videos we'll get into things like code splitting and some more detailed, more involved Webpack stuff. But I hope this helped. Thanks, and definitely share this video with all your friends, and hope this helps. Leave some feedback and some comments, and reach out if you need any help. Thanks.